Welcome to the Father's Coach podcast. Hi, my name is Kevin L. Kelley. I am the Father's Coach. Now, here at the Father's Coach podcast, we talk about discovering the lost art of fathering. What's our objective? What's the objective of this podcast? The objective is to reform the image of fatherhood in our culture. So it could be any city, any state, any country, but we're reforming the image of fatherhood in our culture. Now, how do we obtain this? We obtain this by encouraging men, encouraging fathers to embrace the leadership qualities of fatherhood. So we can get a man, we can get a father. You don't have to be a father, just embrace the fatherhood leadership qualities. It's the leadership qualities. Now, why is it leadership? Because men, what we do is we lead, right? Just by default, we lead. We lead our families and, of course, with our spouses too, but we lead our families, we lead our daughters and our sons, and we lead the next generation. So it's a leadership qualities. That's why we're going to talk about today the art of mentoring. The art of mentoring. So we have to mentor. I have mentors and you have mentors, but I want to share with you all this quote that actually been sticking with me the last couple of months, actually the last couple of years, but it really came back to me the last couple of months, and I want to share with my audience here. I want to hear my friends, my family, you guys. A wise man told me that when you're in a fight, you call a brother, but when you're in a storm, you call a father. Now, I was at one of the lowest points of my life, and I was driving up 95 on the East Coast, and I was driving and I was crying, and I was just thinking about, Lord, who can I talk to? I said, Lord, who can I talk to? And the answer came up. I knew it was God responding to me, and it was actually a face. And I pulled over. I had tears in my eyes. I pulled over, and I called that person, and that gentleman actually said, Kevin, you know what? I got you. He was like, you all right. You just looking at it from a different perspective, but you actually are right. But I'm going to walk with you. I'm going to call you. You know what? When you get to your destination, call me back and we'll talk about it and I'll walk you through it. Now, I was in the storm, and I called the father. Now, I have a father. I have a father up in North Jersey. He's still alive today. He's my mentor and everything type of thing. But I had to call a different father, somebody that can walk me, an adult Kevin Kelley, who had to walk me through this situation. And I was in a storm. I wasn't in a fight. I was in a storm, and I called this father, and he helped me. So this quote from a wise man actually helped me. So we are discovering the lost art of fathering in this podcast. This podcast here, we're going to talk about the art of mentoring. So that gentleman, that situation, that scenario that I shared with you was a man that mentored me. So we have many different mentors in our life. I have mentors that are for finances, mentors for business, mentors for even spiritual. I have spiritual mentors. So I have different mentors in my life. So this young man, this man right here actually mentored me in my life. So I'm dedicating this podcast right here to all the mentors out there. Mentors in the school, mentor in families, and just mentors in a lot of different areas. I think you'll get something out of it. The art of mentoring. So welcome to the Father's Coach podcast. Welcome back to the Father's Coach podcast. I have a guest here, Mr. Kevin Kelley. And we're going to share some things. We're going to chop. We were just talking earlier today before we get started about if someone just invests 3 years, into the kids, look at the statistics, 55% less likely to skip school, 78% more likely to participate in civic engagement and volunteer opportunities, and 130% more likely to hold leadership positions. Let's get in the game.
Come on, man. We need to.
Let's get in the game.
Definitely.
Let's get in the game. So here we have my guest here, Mr. Kevin S. Kelley. You're a good man. Thank you for coming.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for coming.
I just look forward to coming here.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
I want to share with our audience just some statistics about you and some of your bio. I'm not gonna read the whole thing. You're a heavy hitter. I know I talk about a lot of heavy hitters.
I'm a humble man, bro.
No, you're humble, but you're heavy hitter. We're gonna chop it up a little bit.
Okay.
We're gonna chop it up a little bit, like we did before. We chop it up.
Yes, sir.
But Kevin, Mr. Holder, is a 25-year retired United States Navy veteran. Now I'm Air Force. So
I'm not gonna hold that against you, bro.
Right.
You know
of which he spent 9 years with the Marine Corps, While in the Navy, he worked as a religious program specialist, librarian technician, and administrative specialist. Kevin served on both the East and West Coast. We're going to talk about that too.
Yes, sir.
And you hold a master's degree in leadership.
Yes.
Wow, the fatherhood. Just being a father, you're a leader, right?
Yes.
He holds a master's degree in leadership from Mid-America Christian University, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and a Bachelor's of Science degree from Southern Illinois University in Education. Wow. And curriculum development. Haha.
Yes. Uh-huh.
I like that. He's currently enrolled in catechism classes for his elevation to elder in the church. Man of God.
Yes, sir.
Welcome.
Yes,
welcome.
sir.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank
So I got
you.
some things I want to chop it up with you with.
Yes, sir.
You're a powerful man. You're a powerful man of God. But we're going to talk about fathers real quick. So your thing with you're a father.
Yes, sir.
You're a father.
2 sons. Yeah.
Father and 2 sons.
Uh-huh.
So how was your, give me your definition of a father.
Well, because I'm a spiritual person, when I look at a father, I look at God.
Okay.
And he gave us the best example, and providing his son, Jesus Christ, to us as the true mentor,
okay,
to emulate here on earth. So as an individual, I think that, I grew up without a father in a home. And because of that, it was hard for me to have a reference point on what I thought a father was.
Okay.
But praise be to him, God, that throughout my life, I was able to meet different people. And I had an uncle that shared so many things with me. And he, at an early age, would instill into me concepts and precepts and values that would help me in my development through life. And so I think a father is a man who is willing to be an example first to other people. When I say people, I mean young people, older people. It can be a father to just when people are trying to succeed at something in life.
Okay.
So how do you be a father like that? I believe that you actually are doing things in your own life that are in a right standing, and that you don't have any problems with people seeing you as an example to them.
Okay, so let's back up a little bit. So you said you didn't have a father. You didn't have a father in your life, right?
No.
But you had other men. So you had surrogates in your life.
Yes.
So you had surrogates in your life. So was there a gap in between you not having? Well, you do have a father. You did have a father.
Yes.
But he wasn't in your life, or he just didn't live with you.
He wasn't in my life. My father and my mother split when I was about 3 years old.
Okay.
And I never knew him as a father in a sense of really remembering him in the home or anything like that.
Okay.
And, it's funny because in our community, you have a lot of mothers that, do dual roles. I've even seen people who give their mom a Father's Day card because of the powerful role that she plays in their life, both sides. My mother was a strong, I'm gonna say black woman who taught us a lot of, instilled into us one real crucial thing, and that was to respect authority and people and that were adults.
So she gave you your core values.
She gave us a core values that was just that I could never let go.
So let me share this real quick. So I asked you for your definition of father. You gave me that. Powerful. Thank you for that. I want to insert this. I got a little story for you. So my definition of father is just like yours, but I want to talk about like protection, provider. Your mother provided that for you, right?
Yes.
Your mother provided for you. She's a strong black woman, like you
Right,
said, right?
right.
So I think fathers are protectors, providers, promoters. They
Exactly.
promote their children, right?
Yeah.
Protection and they praise you, and they praise the children, they praise the kids, type of thing. So I want to share something about protection. Now, I'm from North Jersey. I know you from what, Chester?
Chester, Pennsylvania.
You got
Yes.
city slick kind of type guys, right?
Right outside of Philly,
I know,
we
Philly.
got that.
I know. I'm from North Jersey.
Okay.
We got city kind of stuff too.
Yes.
So
yes.
I remember I remember being outside playing with some of the guys, but they were older than me. They was playing football. We was playing with my football, and they actually took it from me. But they was kind of playing with me, but it's kind of like almost bullying me type of thing. And so I was like, "Give me back my ball." They was like, "No, come take it," and I couldn't really take it from them. They was bigger than me and whatever type of thing. So my father walked down the steps and got on the porch, and he said, "Kevin." He said aloud, "Kevin." I said, "Yeah, Dad. Everything all right?" As soon as he said that, the guy handed over the ball. I said, "I think everything's all right now, Dad," type of thing.
Wow.
And I do the same thing even with my daughter. When my daughter's out riding the bike, whatever, I come right out the garage, and I let my presence be known. So that's the protection thing. So so that was my core values and my understanding of a father. So I want to share that with the audience about fathers, like being a present, being a present in our families, and being a presence in our lives, and like your mother was for you, and you have siblings.
Yeah, I have 3 siblings. Yeah.
So as his mother was with his siblings, was him and his siblings, my father was with me and my 3 sisters too. The protection piece, the protection and provider, of course,
and the provider, right?
So come on.
So she was that person, and she was such a independent-minded woman that she didn't even push that my father had to provide or protect, because she did all of that herself. She had 2 jobs. She had many. She had 2 jobs. She did a lot of things. I come from the city, and we call it the city Chester. And my mother was a hustler also. You know what I mean? She would have card games and work 2 jobs and everything. We never went without, and she always made sure that we had what was necessary, when it came to school, when it came to clothing, when it came to food or whatever, she made sure we had it. I didn't never know I was poor when I was growing up, because
the community.
It was the community and the family and what she was. But, I did want to mention this one thing though. Her brother, my uncle, he was from New York. Well, he was from Chester, but he moved to New York after he got out of the Air Force.
Oh, I was like Air Force.
Yeah. And he would come down to Chester and get me. And then he would also be that surrogate that taught me things that were only men could instill into young men.
What was those things? Please share those things.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, one of the things he talked to me about was how we as young men should always look to be able to take care of our family, if and when we had a family. And so he showed me those things, like where you would have to work and you'd have to have an income. And then he taught me how to speak. He taught me how to talk to other people.
This is good.
And he taught me how to save money. And he taught me how to dress. I mean, this guy.
So he was your father?
He was
your
like
uncle?
Yes.
Was your father?
Exactly.
Now, how was he your uncle?
He was my mother's brother.
Okay.
Yeah, he was my mother's brother, and they were very close. And and anytime something would come up short, she could just call on him. He'd come straight from New York. I remember in my 7th grade, we had like a graduation, the way our school system was set up, and we had a graduation after 8th grade, and he came down and got me, took me up to Macy's up in New York, and bought me a suit, shoes, dressed me, showed me how to wear a tie, the whole works, you know what I'm saying? And those things were invaluable.
That's the thing.
You know what I mean?
That's the thing right there.
For a young man in the 8th grade, and
so you were equipped, actually. He equipped you.
Exactly.
He gave you what you needed.
Yeah.
Can I share this one fact with the audience?
Yes.
If that's possible.
Sure.
Children raised in a father absent home are 2 times more likely to suffer from obesity.
Right.
You're not obese. I don't think you was obese. Because you had your uncles.
Right.
You were surrounded by not only a loving family and a strong mother, but also your uncle that came down from New York.
He also taught us how to eat right. Wow. He loved to cook, and he always taught us about good food and things like that. Even though we was living in a marginal area, we didn't know it. I grew up in the but he taught us about how to buy good food, how to cook meats and things like that, and fish, and how important those things and vegetables and all that kind of stuff was.
So how often did he come get you? So you have another brother?
Yeah, I have two other brothers.
So
one of them is deceased.
So he brought all of you guys, or just you?
You know, I was the oldest.
Okay.
And so this was the crazy thing, because you talk about mentors. He taught me to transfer what he taught me to them. You know, he taught me that spirit of leadership at a very young age. I didn't even know that's what he was doing, but you know, he would tell me how to do different things. And you know, my mom she put me in a position of leadership because I was the oldest, you know, as a child. But he gave me the confidence to be that in that position of leadership, you know, and it followed me. It really did. I mean, I made a lot of mistakes as a young person, you know what I'm saying? And did a lot of crazy things because of environmental kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But it always came back to he also, like, my last name is Colder, okay? His last name is Colder. And it was something because he gave the history and relevance of our name.
Okay.
And what it meant, and who the, you know, forefathers and, you know, the people before us were.
Can you share that with me?
Yeah, I mean, you know, and this is
colder, like colder.
Yeah, colder, like it gets cold outside.
Yeah.
Yes. So, you know, my grandmother, his mother, my mother's mother, you know, she married a Colder, and his name was Horatio Colder. My uncle's name, he was a junior, Horatio Colder Jr. And my mother, though, okay, she was born Colder, but she really wasn't a Colder. Now this is kind of complex in a sense, because my grandmother got divorced before my mother was born, and she had another husband. His name was Harris. His last name was Harris. But my mother kept a Colder name.
Okay.
So by default, I became a Colder when I was born. And because I was born, she wasn't married, and I took her name, Colder. But I don't have Colder. It's a funny thing. I don't have Colder blood, but you would never, just growing up, I was a Colder, because my uncle and I look like I'm his son.
Wow, you were grafted in anyway.
I was grafted into him,
yes.
and even all of the Colders. And it's something. I have two sons. I have grandchildren. All of these are Colders. All of these are Colders, you know. And the Harris family, my grandfather, who was a strong man. I mean, that was another surrogate in my life who was a strong man. And, you know, he was a disciplinarian. And his last name is Harris. He took me under his wing also.
So then you had another mentor. So you had your uncle,
yes.
your uncle as your mentor,
Yeah.
and then your grandfather,
And my grandfather
as a mentor.
Yeah.
So check this out. Tell us how. So then your uncle taught you how to mentor your younger brothers.
Yeah.
The art of mentoring. This
Right,
episode,
right,
the art
right,
of mentoring, right?
right.
So he taught you how to mentor. So even to this day, you're mentoring.
Yes. My younger brothers.
So when did you start mentoring as an adult?
Well, in an official sense, I've started mentoring when I became into leadership positions in the military. You know, as a Navy man, you know, they called me a fast tracker, because I ranked to the rank of E6 like really quick within like 5.5 years.
Okay.
And so by doing that, now the people that I was like kind of hanging out with, now I was their supervisor and things like that. But I met this guy.
Were you driven?
I was very driven.
So you became E6 real quick.
I mean, very quick. Okay. I mean, it was just unbelievable. It was so fast that I was looking at Chief in the Navy. Chief is E7. I was looking at Chief within like 7-8 years. I could be a chief, you know, which was a very fast track.
In the Navy, right?
In the Navy.
This is easy to do that in the Navy. You guys, you know, they just throw this stuff. They just throw rank at you guys.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
They throw rank at you guys.
It's funny that you say that, because
they throw rank at these guys.
My dad used to say that too. My dad was in the Air Force.
Military,
Yeah.
Air Force.
Yeah.
This guy's a mentor.
Yeah. And so, you know, this one guy taught me this one thing, and it stuck with me forever. You know, while he was He was an officer, black guy, and he said, throughout your career and your time in the military, he said, you're gonna have folks that act and you're gonna have reactors. You're gonna have reactors and actors.
Okay.
And he said to me, he said, which one do you think you should be? And I just kind of looked at him because I didn't know where he was going with this. But he taught me, he said, never be the reactor, because the reactors are the ones that get caught in the screen.
Okay. Now, who taught you that?
This officer, this black officer that was in the Navy, and you know,
So you had another
he was
mentor.
Like, that was my mentor when I was in the Navy.
I'm making mental notes
Yes,
of the mentors in your life.
Yes. Oh, he was powerful because he saw how fast I was. I was always studying because I always wanted to kind of. I never thought I was making enough money. That was the major influence, because before I went in the Navy, I used to work construction. I used to make like adult kind of money at 17, 18 years old. I had an uncle that got me into the construction field at 16 years old. And
so it's not. So you didn't have a lack of men in your life.
No, I didn't.
So what I want to do is I want to bring it up a little current, because in your bio it states that you are a chess coach.
Yes.
You are a chess life coach.
A chess and life coach.
You are a chess and life coach.
Right.
What does that mean?
Well,
can you tell the
it's
audience
funny
that?
that
Would you be able to tell the audience that?
Yes, I will. When I say chess and life coach, well, I've been playing chess since I was like 17 years old. And as I got to learn the game, my cousin, he taught me the game, and I just became like enamored by the game itself. So throughout my time in the Navy, I would be in little tournaments and things like that, and played quite a bit. Well, when I retired from the military and retired from teaching high school in Chicago, because I was an ROTC instructor and did a lot of mentoring in that role.
Okay.
I moved here to Delaware, and I still was driven to do something.
After retirement.
After double retirement, after double retirement, I just like got to the point where, I saw it was a need to still, and I had a passion to work with young people.
As a mentor. Okay.
And so I got involved in the Capital School District. And when I got involved in the Capital School District, I volunteered. I said, hey, look, I can teach these kids how to play chess. And these are elementary school kids.
So you went to the principal?
I went to, well, first what I did was I got into the school by volunteering. I went to the school and said, they said, well, yeah, you could come on as a, coach and teach the kids. And what I wanted to do, Kevin, I wanted to only teach boys, because I had this passion for teaching boys and like young black boys, like things that would help them in their development, because
like you was taught.
Like I was taught.
Like you was taught the
exactly.
core values.
Core values
so
of
you're
life.
doing that now in Delaware.
And I'm doing that now in Delaware.
How many schools?
Well, elementary schools, since the pandemic, I kind of narrowed down to one school right now, but I was teaching in like 6 schools, like the game of chess. Now, when I say life coach, I'm not a certified life coach. I think I saw your bio, and I think you're a certified life coach.
I can hook you up.
Yeah,
no problem.
But I've done it with couples.
Okay.
My wife and I, we would, because we was married for like 47 years, and people looked at us as, that role model for marriage and things like that.
Right. So let's get back. So what are you doing in the schools right now? So you're mentoring, and I just want to know, how are you, we're going to wrap this up real quick though. So how are you actually mentoring the guys? You're teaching them, and just only guys, not girls.
No. The girls, I wanted to let you know that when I tried to do just the guys, I had this young little girl. She was probably in the 2nd grade, and she looked at me. She said, Mr. Calder, I want to learn how to play chess. And because I had 10 boys, my goal was just to have 10 boys. And she said, and I said, well, it's only boys. And she said, but she looked at me and she had these eyes, and she said, but I want to learn how to play too. Wow. And it was at the time when you got to be conscious of this thing about girl, boy, whatever. And I brought her on the team, and she was an Indian young lady. And let me tell you, she was the baddest thing.
Wow.
I mean, she is still playing chess right now. She's probably in middle school, right now. But
wow. So I appreciate you. Thank you for sharing that. So what you actually did, thank you for coming on the show, but you actually blessed us, because you actually showed us about how how to mentor, and your whole life been mentoring.
Yeah.
Your uncles,
Yeah.
your grandfather, your mother actually helped you with the core values. You were surrounded in the military. You had men actually surround you. So the art of mentoring, this podcast, you blessed us. You actually helped us.
Right.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you. And what I want to do even after this, I want you and I want us to collaborate. We're going
Right.
to talk about these things. There's a couple things that I do too. I do too as well. But thank you for coming.
I really appreciate it. I
coming.
loved it.
Thank you for coming.
I loved it. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I
Do you have
enjoyed
any
it
closing
much.
remarks?
Well, I do. And I think that I'm glad you asked me that first question about what did I think fatherhood was. And the close, I would hope that young men, older men would get involved in the community, because there's a shortage of men that are out there now. There's a shortage of men that are in communities right now. And the school system needs to have men come in and provide that voice, because my voice itself does something in the school. When I walk the hallways, I can say, hey, get back in line. They say, that's Mr. Colder. So
Wow.
so that's the thing, we just need to have more men do this thing.
So we need men to get in the game.
To get in the game.
Thank you. Thanks again
Yes,
for
sir.
coming.
Yes, sir.
And I want to share this one statistic again with my audience here. I want to let them know that to get in the game, but despite popular beliefs, the CDC, Center of Disease Control, states that 70% of black fathers are most involved and likely to have bathed, dressed, diapered, or helped their children use the toilet every day, compared to 60% of white fathers, 45% of Hispanic fathers in the United States. So we are in the game, despite what the media is telling us.
Okay.
We are in the game. It doesn't mean that you're in the house and living with them. It means that you're engaged with your children. So we thank you that we're going to mentor. You've been mentoring.
Yes, sir.
I'm in the schools mentoring as well too.
That's awesome.
You know what I'm doing.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, yes.
More time together. Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Welcome back. This is Kevin L. Kelley, the Father's Coach. And again, welcome to the Father's Podcast, the Father's Coach Podcast. I had a great time with Mr. Kevin Colder. He's sharing about mentoring and the art of mentoring, how he was mentored his whole life. And now he's actually mentoring in the schools. He was mentored his whole military career. And actually, he's pouring back into the schools here in Delaware. And I want to share one thing about the Father's Coach. And we're discovering the lost art of fathering. But I want to share with my audience here, we've got to change the narrative. We have to get in the game, but we have to change the narrative. And the narrative is to reform the image of fatherhood in our culture. We have to change the narrative, reform the image of fatherhood in our culture. Let's get in the game. Thank you. See you at the next episode.